Hello and welcome to my channel Secrets and Lies. This channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery, so be sure to subscribe. Let's get started. My name is Michael Miller, and the events I'm about to recount happened during a time when my wife, Samantha, and I had been married for over 20 years. We met in college, fell in love, and got married soon after graduating. Together, we raised two daughters, Emily and Kate, who were just a year apart in age. Emily was a freshman in college, and Kate was finishing up her senior year of high school. 6 weeks earlier, we had taken Emily to her new dorm at a state university about 2 hours away. She moved in with one of her closest friends, and while her absence was palpable, we were excited for her as she started this new chapter. Kate, on the other hand, hadn't finalized her college choice, but there was a good chance she might follow Emily to the same school. The sisters had their fair share of sibling squabbles, but their bond was undeniable. They always supported each other when it counted. With Emily gone, the house felt emptier, quieter. Still, Samantha and I took comfort in knowing she was thriving. At the time, I was a partner at a prominent accounting firm, while Samantha worked as a supervisor for a local building supply company. Despite her degree in English, she had steadily built a successful career after returning to work once our girls were old enough for school. Although my income was higher, we enjoyed a comfortable and secure lifestyle, complete with a lovely home, dependable cars, and occasional indulgences. Samantha seemed content in her role, and our lives followed a steady, predictable rhythm. That Friday, I wrapped up work early, looking forward to a peaceful weekend. With Kate away on a school camping trip until Sunday, I envisioned a rare opportunity for Samantha and me to reconnect. I imagined a romantic evening, dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant followed by some long overdue time alone. Emily's departure had left a noticeable void, and I hoped this weekend would help us recalibrate as a couple. When I arrived home, I saw that Samantha's car was already parked in the garage, unusual for that time of day. Perhaps she was on the same wavelength, I thought, excited to share my dinner plans. I walked through the house, calling out for her. Not finding her in the kitchen or living room, I made my way to our bedroom. As I moved down the hallway, I called out, "Samantha, are you in the bedroom?" Her voice answered calmly, "Yes, Michael, I'm here." Entering the room, I found her sitting at her vanity, carefully applying makeup. She wore a sleek black dress and the pearl necklace I had gifted her last Christmas. Her matching heels were placed neatly on the floor, and beside them, an overnight bag sat open, partially packed with casual clothing and lingerie. Taken aback, I asked, "Wow, Samantha, you look amazing. Did I forget we had plans? Where are we going? I can get ready in a flash." She looked up at me, her expression serious. "Michael, we need to talk," she began. "I was planning to tell you later, but since you're home early, we might as well discuss it now. I have plans this weekend, a date." For a moment, I froze, unable to process her words. "A date? What are you talking about? We've never discussed anything remotely like an open marriage. Is this some kind of elaborate joke? Tell me you're planning something for us and this is your way of surprising me." She exhaled deeply, as if she had rehearsed this moment. "Michael, it's just for the weekend. I'll be back by Sunday, and everything will go back to normal. I've been feeling lost since Emily left, and I need this. It's something I'm doing for myself. One weekend out of the years we've been together, it won't change anything, and it might even help us." I struggled to form a coherent response. "Samantha, how long have you been planning this? Who is this man? Are you leaving me for him?" "No," she replied firmly. "I love you, Michael. I'm not leaving you. He's just a friend, a married friend, actually. We've had lunch a few times, and he makes me feel alive. I didn't want to lie to you or cheat, so I'm being honest. This is about me, not us." Her words felt foreign, rehearsed, as though spoken by a stranger. She continued, "I'm not getting any younger, Michael. He finds me attractive, and it's given me a confidence boost. Can't you see? It's one weekend. I'll come back, and we'll move forward. I could barely contain my disbelief. So, one weekend of what? Rediscovering yourself? And this won't affect us at all, Samantha. Listen to yourself, you don't sound like the woman I married. Her composure didn't waver. Michael, it's just a small moment in our lives. I love you, and this won't change that. Please try to understand. I stood there, grappling with the absurdity of the situation. Then a thought crossed my mind. Fighting to keep my voice even, I asked, so you're really going through with this? Yes, she replied confidently, but it doesn't have to change anything. Forcing a smile, I responded, all right then. If you're convinced this won't have consequences, so be it. If this is how things stand, I might as well make plans for my weekend too. But you need to promise me one thing, keep your phone on so I can contact you if something urgent happens. Samantha paused, her eyes locked on mine as though searching for something unsaid. After what felt like an eternity, she sighed and agreed. Fine, I'll leave it on. But only if you swear not to call me unless it's truly necessary, and absolutely no tracking me. Deal? Deal, I replied with a strained smile. But you can still reconsider, you know. She didn't answer, turning back toward her vanity table, effectively signaling that the discussion was over. After our conversation, I left the room, trying to process everything. My heart was pounding, and I couldn't shake the disbelief. Samantha, the woman I had spent more than 2 decades building a life with, was going on a date, a romantic getaway, no less, with another man. And she expected me to be okay with it? I walked into the living room, staring blankly at the family photos on the wall. The memories we had created together felt like a cruel backdrop to this nightmare. I wanted to scream, cry, or punch something, but I knew that wouldn't help. I needed a plan. If she thought she could have a temporary fling without consequences, she was sorely mistaken. A part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand she reconsider, but another part of me knew that wouldn't work. Samantha had made up her mind, and no amount of pleading or reasoning would change it. Instead, I decided to focus on gathering information. I wasn't just going to sit idly by while my wife went off with another man. If she truly believed her actions wouldn't affect our marriage, I wanted to see for myself what this so-called weekend entailed. I waited until Samantha left that evening. She barely glanced at me as she walked out the door, her overnight bag in hand. I'll be back Sunday evening, she said casually, as though she were leaving for a business trip. I simply nodded, masking the storm of emotions swirling inside me. Once she was gone, I went to her vanity table. She had left her laptop there, which was unusual. Samantha was meticulous about her belongings, and her laptop rarely left her side. It was a small but telling oversight, perhaps a sign that she was more nervous than she let on. I opened the laptop, and to my surprise, it wasn't password protected. I quickly accessed her email and social media accounts, searching for any clues about her plans or the man she was meeting. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. There were messages between Samantha and a man named Daniel. The exchanges were friendly at first, then flirtatious, and finally explicit. They had been talking for months, meeting occasionally for lunch or coffee, and now they had decided to spend a weekend together at a hotel a few hours away. The messages detailed their plans, the hotel name, the room number, and even the activities they had planned. As I read through the messages, my anger grew. This wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment, it was a carefully orchestrated betrayal. Samantha had crossed the line, and there was no going back. I debated my next move. Should I confront her at the hotel? Call her out in front of Daniel? Or should I take a more measured approach, documenting everything and consulting a lawyer? The thought of humiliating her was tempting, but I didn't want to stoop to her level. After some deliberation, I decided to track her movements using a GPS tracker I had installed in her car years ago for safety reasons. I knew it wasn't the most ethical decision, but given the circumstances, I felt justified. The next morning, I drove to the hotel where she was staying. I parked a safe distance away and waited. Around lunchtime, I saw Samantha and Daniel leaving the hotel together. He was tall, well-dressed, and looked like the kind of man who thought he could get away with anything. They got into his car and drove off, heading to a nearby restaurant. I followed them discreetly, keeping a safe distance. At the restaurant, they sat on the patio, laughing and holding hands. It was sickening to watch. This was the woman I had loved for over 2 decades, acting like a giddy teenager with a man who wasn't her husband. I took photos and videos from a distance, documenting everything. I knew I would need evidence if I decided to take legal action. But more than that, I wanted Samantha to see the reality of what she was doing. Later that evening, I returned home and waited for her to come back. When she walked through the door on Sunday, she looked relaxed, almost happy. "How was your weekend?" I asked casually, masking my anger. "It was fine," she replied, avoiding eye contact. I handed her my phone, showing her the photos and videos I had taken. "Care to explain this?" Her face went pale as she stared at the images. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "You said this wouldn't change anything," I continued. "But it has. You've destroyed my trust, our marriage, and our family. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" Samantha began to cry, apologizing and insisting it was a mistake, that she hadn't thought it through. But it was too late. The damage was done. Over the next few weeks, I consulted a lawyer and started divorce proceedings. I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies and betrayal. Samantha begged for another chance, but I knew we couldn't go back to the way things were. Our daughters were devastated when they found out. Emily and Kate struggled to understand why their mother had made such a selfish decision. The family we had built together was shattered, and there was no repairing it. Looking back, I realized that Samantha's actions were a symptom of deeper issues in our marriage, issues we should have addressed years ago. But her betrayal was the breaking point, and there was no coming back from it.